Hello, men. Good to see you. In Romans chapter 10, verses 5 through 7, Paul continues his discussion of righteousness. Recall that in the earlier verses 3 and 4, he made the point that it's not about our self-righteousness, it's about God's righteousness. And here he continues on with this theme. Let's read a little bit. For Moses writes about the righteousness which is of the law. The man who does these things shall live by them. So Paul is saying that it is written in the Pentateuch, the Torah, that if you want to live by the law, you must do what the law requires. This came straight from God. I looked at it. This was God talking to Moses, and Moses wrote it down. So God's saying, if you want to base your relationship with me based upon the law, you have to do these things. Well, do you see the obvious problem? We fall short. We've already covered this, Romans 3:23. All have fallen short of the glory of God. We love God, but do we love him with our entire being consistently? No. We love our neighbors, but do we consistently love them as ourselves? No. We fall short in many ways. So if the metric, if the measuring rod is our performance of good works, abiding by the law of God, we're going to fall short, and therefore we are not going to achieve righteousness. But Paul continues here. Verse 6, he says, but the righteousness of faith speaks in this way. Do not say in your heart, who will ascend into heaven, that is to bring Christ down from above, or who will descend into the abyss, that is to bring Christ up from the dead. Well, what is Paul saying here? What he's saying here is that in his day, there were people who were saying, I don't believe that Jesus resurrected from the dead. I have to see it for myself. Or I don't believe that Jesus ascended into heaven. I have to see him come down. So make all these things happen and then I will believe. And Paul says that's not the righteousness of faith. The righteousness of faith is what Jesus told Thomas. Remember, Thomas doubted, and he got the grace of God because Jesus appeared to him, and Thomas could see for himself the wounds, and that Jesus had in fact rose from the dead. And then what does Jesus say in John chapter 20, verse 29? He says, blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. And so we are now, it's very clear that our faith and our belief in the essential gospel, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, that he was buried, and then he rose again on the third day according to the scriptures. That if we are taking these things on faith, if we are trusting our souls, our very being with this truth, that we then receive the blessing from God. And what is the blessing from God? It's his righteousness. It's the righteousness that can only come from God. And so my encouragement to you men is that if you are unbelieving, or if you're faltering in your belief, or you're having doubts in your belief, read the four Gospels. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's the report. That's the witness that we have now. And we listen to these witnesses. We read what Jesus said. We read what Jesus did. And then we make that important decision. That decision, am I going to put the full weight of my trust and belief in Jesus Christ for my eternal destiny? And God's answer to that is, if you will receive the righteousness of God, which can only come from true faith. And so until I see you again, may the Lord richly bless you, my brothers.